That's why many fans believe Kelly Reilly's disappointment goes deeper than a rushed finale. It's about lost potential, lost time, lost storytelling. The years spent building Beth's emotional armor, her trauma, her loyalty to the ranch, all of that deserved a conclusion that felt earned. Instead, it was cut short by circumstances outside the story itself. And while Kelly won't openly say Kevin Costner caused that loss, she doesn't hide the fact that forces beyond the cast's control dictated the ending. There's also the question of power. Kevin Costner wasn't just another actor on Yellowstone. He was the face of the franchise. His presence shaped the show's identity. When someone in that position clashes with the creator, the ripple effects are massive. Kelly Reilly's comments subtly acknowledge that imbalance. When she says she was along for the ride, it highlights how little influence even a major cast member had over the final outcome. Decisions were being made elsewhere, and once those decisions were set in motion, there was no turning back. Yet, despite all of this, Kelly never fully closes the door on respect. She recognizes Kevin Costner's stature. She acknowledges that he operates in a different world. But that acknowledgement also feels like acceptance of reality, rather than admiration. It's as if she's saying, "This is who he is, and this is where it led us." That's not hatred, but it's not forgiveness either. It's distance, formed by disappointment. And perhaps that's the most telling part of all. Kelly Reilly doesn't need to shout to make her point. Her calm, reflective tone speaks volumes. She validates the fans' frustration without feeding the drama. She confirms the ending was flawed without assigning public blame. And in doing so, she reinforces a truth many already believed. Yellowstone didn't end the way it should have, and the people who loved it most were left picking up the pieces. As this chapter closes, one thing becomes clear. Kelly Reilly isn't rewriting the past. She's acknowledging the cost of it. And that cost was a finale that will always feel unfinished, no matter how much time passes. Despite all the disappointment, frustration, and unresolved tension surrounding Yellowstone's ending, Kelly Reilly made one thing clear. Beth Dutton is not done yet. And for many fans, that single fact feels like the only real silver lining left. While the original series may have ended in chaos, the story of Beth and Rip is being given a second chance through the upcoming spin-off, the Dutton Ranch. Set after the events of Yellowstone, this new chapter is positioned as a reset, a quieter but deeper exploration of characters who survived the storm. And when Kelly talks about this next phase, her tone shifts noticeably. The bitterness fades, replaced by cautious excitement. Kelly described the spin-off as a different era, not just for the story, but for Beth herself. She openly admitted that she had reached her limit of playing younger Beth, which signals a meaningful evolution for the character. This isn't about explosive rage or reckless decisions anymore. This is about a woman who has lived, lost, and endured more than most. Beth is no longer fighting just to survive. She's fighting to protect what she has left. And that shift feels intentional, almost corrective, as if this spin-off exists to give Beth the emotional depth and closure that Yellowstone's ending couldn't. What's fascinating is how this new series reframes Beth and Rip's journey. Instead of constant war, the focus appears to be on responsibility, legacy, and the cost of peace. Kelly has hinted that this version of Beth is still unapologetic, still dangerous when pushed, but more grounded. And in many ways, that evolution mirrors Kelly Reilly's own perspective on Yellowstone's ending. There's no denial of the past, just an acceptance of it, and a determination to move forward. It's hard, to see the spin-off as a form of redemption, not just for the characters, but for the entire franchise. This also adds another layer to the Kevin Costner conversation. John Dutton's absence looms over everything. The spin-off exists in a world shaped by his legacy, but no longer controlled by it. And that shift in focus feels symbolic. Yellowstone revolved around power struggles at the top. The Dutton Ranch seems more interested in what happens after power is lost. For Kelly Reilly, this is a chance to reclaim Beth's narrative without the same behind-the-scenes tension that derailed the original series. Kelly has also spoken openly about why Beth resonated so deeply with audiences, despite the criticism. She pointed out that women are often expected to play safe, inspirational roles, while men are allowed to be brutal, damaged, and morally complex. Beth shattered that expectation. She was messy, cruel, vulnerable, and fearless, all at once. And while that made some viewers uncomfortable, it also made her unforgettable. Kelly's pride in that character is obvious, and it's clear she sees the spin-off as an opportunity to continue challenging those boundaries. At the same time, there's an underlying sense that this new chapter is personal. After everything that went wrong with Yellowstone's ending, Kelly seems determined to give Beth the ending she deserves, on her own terms. The excitement she expresses doesn't erase the disappointment of the past, but it does suggest healing. This isn't about erasing Kevin Costner from the story. It's about moving beyond the circumstances that cut the original journey short. In many ways, the Dutton Ranch feels like a response to everything that went wrong. A quieter answer to a loud collapse. And as Kelly Reilly steps back into Beth Dutton's boots, it's clear she's not carrying anger. She's carrying resolve. Whatever Yellowstone lost in its final moments, this next chapter is determined to reclaim. When you step back and look at the full picture, it becomes clear why this conversation refuses to fade away. Yellowstone wasn't just a TV show. It was a cultural moment. It meant something to people, and when something that meaningful ends abruptly, fans don't just move on. They look for answers. Kelly Reilly's recent comments don't reopen old wounds. They confirm they were never healed in the first place. She didn't give fans a villain, but she did give them validation. The disappointment was real. The ending was flawed, and the people inside the show felt it just as deeply as the people watching from home. What's most powerful about Kelly's response is how human it feels. She doesn't speak like someone chasing drama or attention. She speaks like someone who invested years of her life into a story, only to watch it end before it was ready. That kind of loss stays with you. And when fans say Yellowstone deserved better, Kelly's words quietly echo back, I know. Whether or not Kevin Costner intended to disrupt the series almost doesn't matter anymore. Impact outweighs intent. And the impact of his departure reshaped the entire ending in ways that can't be undone. At the same time, Kelly refuses to let resentment define the future. Instead of dwelling on blame, she focuses on what remains. Beth Dutton, Rip Wheeler. The ranch, the chance to tell a story without rushing toward the finish line. That choice speaks volumes. It suggests maturity, perspective, and a desire to move forward rather than stay trapped in what went wrong. If there is anger there, it's controlled. If there is frustration, it's been transformed into purpose. For fans, this creates a strange mix of emotions. There's closure in finally hearing Kelly speak honestly. But there's also a lingering sadness, knowing that Yellowstone will always be remembered, not just for its greatness, but for how it ended. That legacy is complicated. For more than a year, Yellowstone's finale has lingered like an unfinished sentence. What was once one of the most powerful and beloved shows on television didn't get a graceful goodbye. Instead, it collapsed under controversy, rushed storytelling, and whispers of behind-the-scenes chaos. Fans were left confused, frustrated, and divided. And through all of that noise, one voice remained noticeably quiet: Kelly Reilly. Until now. In a recent interview, Reilly finally addressed the ending of Yellowstone. And while she never directly attacked Kevin Costner, her words spoke louder than any accusation ever could. She made it clear that the way Yellowstone ended was not the plan, not the dream, and definitely not ideal. The show was only supposed to last 5 years, she admitted, but it grew into something bigger, something that took on a life of its own. And when something that powerful ends abruptly, someone always pays the price. What makes her comments so compelling is the restraint behind them. Kelly didn't rage. She didn't point fingers outright. But the disappointment was unmistakable. When she said, "It's a shame it ended that way," but it did. That wasn't closure. That was resignation. It sounded like someone who had accepted an outcome she never agreed with. And perhaps even more telling was her insistence that so much of what happened had nothing to do with her. She described herself as someone who was simply along for the ride, a phrase that suggests decisions were being made far above her pay grade. For fans who followed the reports closely, that statement instantly reignited the long-standing belief that the real battle was between Taylor Sheridan and Kevin Costner. At the time, reports painted a messy picture. Costner allegedly clashed with Sheridan over schedules, creative control, and commitment to the series. Eventually, those